Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, hey, hey. All right. Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. How you, Apostle?
Doing wonderful. Great. All right. All right. Well, let's start with any questions. Anybody had any testimonies, praise report, anything um we wanted to highlight before we get into our lesson today?
Apostle, this is Jessica.
Hey.
I just wanted to thank God because I had been really struggling with some stuff as far as getting my life together, what I was going to do for $27 with our challenge and stuff. But I finally found my niche and I realized that I was kind of ashamed of that niche. And I didn't even know why. I was, and I just don't tell people I'm bilingual. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But I had to work through that this week, and I was like, you know what? I'm no longer gonna be ashamed of no gift that God gave me. If I know how to clean, I know how to do it. If I know how to do it, I know how to do it, and it is what it is. If I can help you, I can help you. And if God put on my spirit to do it, I'm gonna do it, and I did it. And I already have a couple people setting up, and my first section is going to be August 9th.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, when our eyes open up and we see um when we see the stuff that God already gave to us, it's like, man, what was wrong with me? What was I thinking? Why didn't I look up? Why didn't I see this earlier? It reminds me of the story in Genesis when when the woman was there and she was scared that she was about to die. And then she looks up, and when she looks up, she sees there's water. It's like, oh, okay, well, that means that the whole time it was there and I just didn't see it. Yep. Means that the whole time it was there and you just didn't see it. And so we thank God for your eyes opening up to see. And we thank God that He's going to keep opening. He's going to keep opening your eyes so that you'll be able to see even more of what He's already done. That's good. All right. Anything else? Anybody else?
So, Apostle, this is Katrina. So after Sunday, after conversation, and then after having conversation with you, I come to realize that having the right people speaking to you is so powerful. Say like Jamila, when she speak to me, something happened within my spirit. When Principal Lee speak to me, it's a different kind of tone. It's like a calmness, and when you speak to me, it's a different kind of authority. My question would be, I guess that would be the right place to be in, having the right people speaking to you. It's the right voices that would take you to the right places and not being afraid to open up, just opening up to the right people. So I guess that would be my question, having the right voices to speak into your life.
What's your question?
The question would be, is that the right track to be on? That you're hearing the right voices that speak it into you because each voice speaks something different or calls something different.
Absolutely. The Bible says, take heed. I mean, be careful. Be careful what you hear.
Mhm.
Faith comes by hearing. So if you are around a bunch of voices that tell you that um, there's a store down the street, you're going to believe there's a store down the street. If you are around a whole bunch of voices that tell you that there's a car lot down the street, you're going to believe, no, there's no car lot. There's no store, there's a car lot. You're going to believe what you repeatedly hear. So you have to make sure that you're hearing the right thing. I
Mhm.
remember I was at a job and they did some team building exercises. And so they had you put your arm out and say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And when somebody pressed down on your arm, they couldn't push your arm down. Your arm was up straight. I can do this, I can do this. But then they had another group say, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then you push down on their arm, and their arm would fall. And their arm would fall because they had told themselves that they couldn't do it. And because they had said it over and over again, their body responded to the words that were said. My You all know that my PhD is in physics. It's in theocentric physics, but that's just a fancy word for saying science of the Bible. I had to do an experiment. The experiment that I did the experiment over and over and over again for 3 years, and it was the Morimoto rice experiment. So, what we had to do was get some rice, put it in a jar, and put words on the jars. And then we had to put words on the jars and then monitor how fast the rice would decay based on the words that were written on the jar. And so the first time I did the experiment, I did love. It was a jar that had love on it, a jar that had hate on it, and a jar that was empty. I mean, a jar that had no words on it. And then I had God, the devil, and then an empty jar. Good, evil, then an empty jar. When I say empty, I mean there was no words on it. So there's rice and water, rice and water, rice and water. Um, there's a positive word, a negative word, and no word. And we did this experiment over and over and over again, over and over and over again for 3 years. And I monitored the rate of decay. How quickly did the rice turn black? And what I noticed, well, you would think that the positive word would be positive, the negative word would be negative, and the no word would be nothing, no change. But that's not true. The positive word, the jars with the positive word did not decay. The jar with the negative word decayed, and the jar with no word decayed as well. And what
Mm,
that told you, what that tells you is that because water is a substance, water receives vibration, it receives energy, it receives word, it receives a charge from you. And whether you say it or whether you write it, positive words cause life,
mhm.
negative words cause death, but no word also opens you up to destruction. And when you're around negative vibration or you're around people, you say, well, it don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. Everything matters.
Yes, sir.
Everything matters. Your body is 85% water. If you are around the vibrations, well, you're already going to be around something. When you're around positive vibrations, then you're going to experience more life. When you're
Mm,
around negative vibrations, you're going to experience more death. And when
mm.
you're around what looks like it don't matter, you also experience more death.
Yes,
So
sir.
yes, it matters who you're around. It matters who you listen to, what you listen to, because all of those vibrations is going to charge you with either positive energy or negative energy.
So I like the analogy. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Anything else? Anybody else?
Can I just give a testimony really quickly?
Hmm.
So the other day I had Carmen doing my live for me and stuff. And so as she was doing it, she was talking about like self-care, skincare, and all the things. Well, then she was talking about a complex that she felt about herself when she was little. And she was like, my mama used to make me look in the mirror and not let me leave until I said something positive about myself and how that fed in. So as she was starting to talk about that, she began to cry. And so as she began to cry, but it wasn't like sad tears and she was sobbing or anything, but she began to cry and she was like, oh wow, like it finally clicked, like the purpose of those positive words that are speaking that people speak into you, the purpose of like what I'm always talking about with self-care and encouraging
Hmm.
everybody to be their best self, and then the skincare and stuff like that. And it was like it finally clicked. And when she got off, she said, Mama, I'm sorry that I cried. And I said, No, don't cry. You experience what I hope, everybody experiences with that. But I said, but also it was like the move of God. Like I watched God just wash all over you as something click. And it just made me like so proud of her to be that vulnerable,
Hmm.
and still like be that light.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that vulnerability is part of our light. It's part of our weapon. It's God using us as a conduit to help other people. That's beautiful. Thank God. And we're so proud of Carmen. You keep her encouraged, and you as well. That's beautiful. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Any questions? Any testimonies? Anything that you maybe wanted me to clarify from our last session? All right. Let's go to Genesis chapter 24, verse 17 through 19. All right. We've been in a series for the last few sessions. We've been talking about what the kingdom requires. We've covered a few different things. The kingdom, in order to manifest kingdom excellence, in order to have progress, in order to experience the good that God has available for you, there are things that are required. We talked about time. It requires time. We've talked about people. It requires people. It requires resources. It requires intentions. You cannot serve God mindlessly. You have to put your mind in the game. All right. Today we're going to talk about the energy, the energy that is required. Turn to Genesis chapter 24, verse 17, and then I think we'll go to 2 Kings chapter 14.
And the servant ran to meet her and said, Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, Drink, my lord. And she hastened and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they have done drinking.
Hmm.
That's through. Okay. And she hasted and emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran again unto the well to draw water and drew for all his camels. And the man wondering at her held his peace to wit whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of half of I'm sorry, a golden earring of half a shekel weight and two bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold, and said, Whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee, is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? And
Hmm.
she,
All right. So here you have the story of the man of God showing up. And was this Rebecca? Rebecca
yes.
and say it again.
You said, was it Rebecca?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Rebecca saying, Let me water your camels. Now, camels can hold 30 to 50 gallons of water, drink 30 to 50 gallons of water. And this woman is a Hebrew woman that typically would carry a 5 gallon thing of water on her head. And she is watering his camels. She's not just watering one camel, she's watering all his camels. And he's traveling with multiple camels, which means that she's going to get 30 to 50 gallons of water per camel. That is 10 trips to the well. The well is not like what we think of. Um, what is that scary movie when the girl falls in the well and she got black hair? You don't
The
know what?
ring, the
Uh,
ring.
yeah, those wells, the wells of that day were not like that. It was not a thing that was built up and then you just roll the string down and it pulls up a bucket of water. That's not how a well was. A well was normally, if you can imagine, you go up a little hill and then you go down into a crater. All right. You go up a little hill and down into a crater. And down in that crater at the bottom was a hole. And you would go and you would draw water by lowering your vessel into that hole and pulling it up. And you're not pulling up 5 gallons at a time. You might be pulling up 1 gallon at a time. So let's think about this. In order for this woman to do what unlocked her blessing, because she eventually married this man, and then she became one of the great grandmothers of Jesus. So she became part of the unfolding of God's plan for her life. In order for her to do that, that would not have happened if she had not exercised the energy, if she had not put energy into it. And there are some people that want to serve God, but they don't want to input any energy. They want to sit back, they want to complain, they want to point fingers, but they don't want to put in their energy. How much energy did it take? It took her enough energy to go up an incline, down into a crater, pull up a bucket. That's 1 gallon. Up the hill, down the crater, pull up a bucket. That's 2 gallon. Up a hill, down a crater, pull up a bucket. 3 gallon. Up a hill, up a hill, down the incline, into the crater, pull up a bucket. 4. Up a hill, down the incline, pull up a bucket. Up the hill, down the hill, pull up a bucket. She did that for every 5 times she did it. That was 5 gallons. In order to water 1 camel, she had to do the 5 gallon thing 10 times. So that means she goes up the incline, down the crater, pull up a bucket 50 times. Can you imagine what it's like for this woman in the Middle Eastern sun to say, I'm going to give your camel some water, and then to water 1 camel, and not only to water 1 camel, but to say, I'm going to get water for all your camels. And she did it with her energy. She did it with her diligence. That's what it took for her to catch the eye of her destiny. Now, I heard this years ago, and I learned it from Bishop Dennis. He said, your destiny is ready for you. Are you ready for your destiny? Your destiny is ready for you, but are you ready for your destiny? And people might say yes, but what are you doing with your energy, with your time, with your I like watching Naked and Afraid. And one of the things that happens, they try to manage their calories. You don't want to waste a whole bunch of energy, because you're going to tap out. You're going to become weak. And so you want to conserve your energy at least until you get some protein, until you get some fruit, until you get some food in your body. And so they're always trying to monitor their energy. But here we are in the 21st century, and we want to give our energy to any and everything. But what about how much energy it takes to do what God said do? We want the blessings of the Lord, but are you willing to put in the energy? I taught this years ago, this concept of time versus money. I don't know why this is true. I can give examples. I can prove that it's true. Nobody can prove me wrong. It hasn't happened in over 20 years. It has not been, and it's not true because I've said it. It didn't become true when I said it. It's just a truth that I have discovered. And that truth is, if you don't have time, then you have money. Time and money are on a continuum. All right. When you have no time, you should have lots of money. Because if you don't have any time, you must be busy making money. If you have no money, you got to have time, because what are you doing with your time if you don't have any money? If you show me somebody that says they have no time and they have no money, I will show you a person that is lying. They might not know they're lying, they might avoid the truth, but it is impossible to have both no time and no money. If you are ever in a position where you have no money, then you want to evaluate, what am I doing with my fill in the blank time? What am I doing with my time? This woman, she spent her time, she spent her energy doing the thing that she was called to do. Now, there are lots of people, lots and lots of people that complain that they don't have any time. I know that they're lying. They might not want to admit that they're lying, but I know they're lying. The reason I know they're lying is because everybody on the planet was given 24 hours. Everybody was given 24 hours. And there are some people that take their 24 hours and do amazing things. And there are other people that take their 24 hours and they scroll on Instagram. Some people take their hours and they discover what Jessica discovered, that she has gifts that she had been ashamed of, but you don't have to be ashamed of them. You can maximize those gifts. But those gifts were always there. But there are other people that have the same gifts, the same abilities, but they are wasting their time. What if your next kingdom blessing, what if your breakthrough, what if in this woman, her identity was locked up in this next breakthrough? She wasn't just going to receive a husband, she was about to become part of the lineage of Jesus. Her identity was locked up in her being diligent. What of her giving her energy? What if your next blessing was locked up in your energy? How much energy you put into the things of God? Now, there are people that in the past, um, over the years, they've said, I've done so much for the church. I've done so much for blah blah blah, and they start counting up the things that they've done for the church. And there are people that will say, I did all of this and I didn't get anything out of it, or people turned on me, or my feelings got hurt, or somebody did me wrong, and all of those things. And all of that might actually be true. It might actually be true that you did spend time, you did spend energy, and the outcome was not pleasurable. But what about what did work? What about the fact that you were doing that instead of doing negative things, investing into negative things, spending time with negative things, hurtful things, harmful things, destructive things? Because there are people that spend their time making bombs. There are people that spend their time plotting to kill folks. There are folks that spend their time um, trying to do damage. But you spent your time trying to do good. There is blessing in that. There's blessing in that. You haven't lost anything by investing good energy into good projects with good plans and good intentions. The devil will try to make you think that you gave your time away to something that is bad and futile. No, no, no. You invested into the kingdom. You sowed seeds of righteousness. You were doing something good, even if nobody recognized it, even if nobody took note, even if nobody appreciated it. Here we have Rebecca doing what needs to be done, even though a whole bunch of people were not even around. It was just him and his camels. But she did what was in her heart to do. She put her energy into it. And I think it's real wild how people put all kind of energy into all kind of things. And then when it comes to God, they start measuring out their energy. And when I say God, I mean whether it comes to ushering for a church service, singing for a worship experience, um, attending a class, or whether it's investing time, or whether it's showing up for a meeting. We have all kinds of energy for all kinds of things. I made a post the other day that I am regularly impressed. I am increasingly impressed by football coaches. I don't like sports. I don't like football. But the more I learn about football coaches, I'm like, wow, they are amazing. I want a football coach because they're just smart. I mean, they're so skillful and strategic. They're intentional. They're wise. I mean, it's just amazing. Um, but when I look at the energy that people put into football, I'm amazed and I wonder, what if they put that energy into God? What would happen if the people that put their energy into sports would take their energy and put it into God? When I was younger, my mom had married a guy. I didn't like him at first. I didn't like him actually the whole time they were married. But when I look back, I appreciate him, and we have a good relationship today. His mom was a wonderful lady. I call her Grandma Millie, and Grandma Millie would put her energy into bingo. She took care of kids. She took care of grandkids. She took care of great grandkids. She babysat. She did all kind of stuff. But when it came time for that bus to go to Jersey, listen, Grandma Millie was gone. Whoever was going to babysit needed to babysit. Whoever was at her house needed to deal with it. But there was a certain time of the month that Grandma Millie was gone playing bingo. She played bingo so much. I used to think bingo was a place. Like I'm like, good gracious! Like you got it take days to play bingo, but apparently so. And I guess she was good at it because she would get money. She worked she put her energy into helping everybody. And then once a month for a few days, she would shut down and go play bingo. And it didn't matter what nobody said. It didn't matter who was at her house, not at her house. It didn't matter who liked it, didn't like it. It didn't matter who wanted her to or not. She was going to put her energy into bingo. When I grew up in the 80s, of course, in the 80s had the crack epidemic. You would see crackheads out all day and all night. What are they doing? They're putting their energy into getting crack. When we moved to Richmond, I didn't look at the guy, the crackhead, but I knew something was up because the guy would come and cut our grass for $10. And then one day, listen, y'all, I tell you no lie, this man came to our house when it was raining, knocked on the door, and asked if he could cut the grass. He was riding a bike and was pulling a lawnmower behind him on a bike. And this man cut the grass in the rain. I don't know how he did it. I was amazed. I was looking out the blinds in the window. Like, I see this man really about to cut this grass in the rain. I mean, it wasn't pouring down raining, but the grass was wet. How was he doing this? Well, I'll tell you how. The man was driven to smoke crack. And because he was driven to smoke crack, he needed to do something to feed his habit. I've heard of people having $100 a day habits. I've heard of people maxing out credit cards, not for the sake of the kingdom, not to pay for their mama's heart transplant. No, they have maxed out their credit cards so they can get blouses and purse and shoes that they don't even wear. But when it comes to the kingdom, they restrict and hold back. My question to you all, and this is not a rhetorical question. Why is it that people invest so much energy into things that are so futile and unnecessary? But when it comes to the things of God, they start measuring out their energy. I don't want to be a fanatic, but you can be a fanatic for the Black Friday sale. You can be a fanatic for the Beyonce concert. You can be a fanatic for the football game. It's freezing cold, but you got people painting blue letters on their chest out there in the cold. Why is it that people heap measures of energy onto other things, but they don't heap measures, and they start measuring it out, start rationing out their energy when it comes to the things of God? Answer me and give me your ideas and your opinions. Why do people heap large amounts of energy into ungodly things, then start measuring it when it comes to godly things?
Hi, Apostle, this is Crystal. I think it's because it's fun. I mean, if you think about it, and this is gonna sound really bad,
It's
but
real. It's real. Speak truth.
I think that when you're dealing with God, you got to be very honest, or you got to be very straight, or you got to be very serious. But when
Hmm.
you're out having fun and at the clubs, you ain't got to be. You can let loose, and
Yeah.
in the church, you can't do that.
Hmm.
If you got the ushers coming around, you better spit that gum out, or those type
Hmm.
of things. It's
Hmm.
very you can't let loose in the church.
Right. 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 Who else? Anybody else? Anything else?
I think it requires discipline.
Hmm.
I think sometimes when you're out going to a football game or eating or doing whatever with friends, like it's fun, like Crystal said. And so you're just going out, you're not really thinking about it, but God is going to challenge you to think about what you're spending your time on, what you're consuming, and
Hmm.
things, and that's going to take a measure of discipline.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Who else?
I think people are confused about the ROI. Like when I think about the days in my prodigal years where I mean I used to stay at the club in the VIP section. Like I mean I thought that it was giving me a short-term reward, but it ended up leading to something didn't ask for. I think the people think you're getting a return on your investment in time when you're doing that. But when you look at what the church gives, sometimes the ROI is confusing for people that don't really know what kingdom outcomes look like.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
What
look
else?
at Apostle that it's my thing. I can do whatever I want to do.
That's right. It absolutely is. It is your thing. You can do what you want to do. You can go to a party. You can get drunk and get the hangover. You can. Or you can throw the party and let everybody else pay you while they get drunk and get hangovers. And you wake up with money while other people wake up with crabs and chlamydia.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? You just have to decide what you want out of life. This woman, Rebecca, anybody else?
Yes, it's Julian. I think too is a tangible thing. God is not necessarily tang it's gonna sound crazy.
Hmm.
God is not necessarily as tangible as crack. But
Right. You can't smoke them. Yeah.
So,
oh my goodness. If we was at the church, oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So I think it's this, and not just that, but the feeling. Those of us who
Yeah,
have
immediate gratification.
not just that, apostle, but
Oh.
like we can be in church and really experience a high like never before.
Hmm.
But it's just I think it's the tangibleness of it, like the fact that people can interact with their five senses and get this high versus like interacting with God is a whole different stratosphere of experience and senses.
True, true, true. All right, who else? Why did people heap loads of energy on other things, but then they're measuring out? Why are they measuring out their energy when it comes to godly things? I don't want to go overboard. Well, you did not want to go overboard when you was drinking. You drank in order to drink too much. You did not want to go overboard dancing. And I danced. I danced hard. I've been dancing since I was a kid. I danced, period. I used to have asthma as a kid really bad, and I would dance until I got an asthma attack.
Hmm.
I would do that. And you know, in my household, my family partied a lot. We were not a church family. We party. We partay. And I mean, I would come down the stairs dancing. They would cheer me on. I would dance so hard, and then I start wheezing. Had to go outside because I couldn't breathe anymore. Probably because of the smoke. Probably because it was hot. Probably because I overextended myself. I don't know, but I everything I did it till did it got done. But then there are other people that have the things that they do, and they really, really do it. But when it comes to the things of God, then they start rationing out, start measuring. Well, I can't do too much. I can't give too much. I can't be crazy. I gotta have common sense. Didn't nobody have common sense when you was drinking and driving? Didn't nobody have common sense? And this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen, but it's just so normal to people. Y'all know on Friday when Smokey was there talking to Craig, he said, Puff, puff, give, man. People that smoke weed actually take something out of their mouth and pass it to the next person, and that person put it in their mouth. Why is that not the equivalent of kissing? How do people do that? It's just all right. They take the joint, the weed, the blunt, whatever they're smoking. I don't know what they call it these days. They take it and actually pass it to others.
Now, if you got the wet lips, I don't want it.
But they do it. I've seen it. Now, I don't know, is there a technique? Is there something that causes my mouth germs to not be on your mouth germs? But I have seen, y'all tell the truth, and some of y'all do it. I have
Yeah.
seen people take, here you go.
That, that boy.
That's nasty. That's nasty. But then if you go to one of those churches that have the communion, and there are some churches that have communion where everybody drinks out of the same cup. The priest hands you the cup, you take a sip, and then the priest takes that same cup and hands it to the next person, and they take a sip. So everybody's drinking out of the same cup. People are like, I ain't gonna drink out no cup with no stranger. But you gonna puff weed or whatever from a stranger. Why is that? Why is that? It's okay in other realms, but when it comes to God, we start measuring out. Don't want to do too much. Don't want to go too far. Don't want to give too much. Don't want when it comes to money, it's weird. When people don't have the money, but they want something from Amazon, they figure out a way. You know what? I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna cut back next week. I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna pay it later. But it's rare that somebody puts a seed on that same credit card. If you look at that credit card slip, I'm not talking about the debit card with the actual money made. I'm talking about the credit card. The credit card is full of stuff that you don't need anyway. Has nothing to do with revelation. It has to do with the hot girl summer. It has to do with buying stuff for people that you don't even need to buy. It has to do with trying to look like something that you're not, trying to spend something that you don't already have. But people do not take that same energy and say, you know what, I want to give something now and pay for it later. They might say, I want to wear something now and pay for it later. They'll say, I want to eat something now and pay for it because credit is buy it now, pay for it later. But when it comes to giving, I need to have common sense. I can't give everything, but in credit, you give what you don't have. Why do people do that? What is y'all's ideas?
Apostle, this is Alice Marie. I think that some things we pass down from generation to generation, and so we do what we saw Big Mama do
Hmm.
or whoever, and we never learn the lesson. They're never taught differently until there is an encounter. Um, that stretches them or causes them to think differently or to really evaluate how they living. And until you've had that experience, then you think what your day to day is fine until you've been experienced or exposed to something greater.
Absolutely. You're totally correct. We're accustomed to things, and whatever we get accustomed to seems normal. And the thing is, it seems normal until we meet somebody that does something different. Like there are people that go to work and come home, they're like, this is my time. After I get off work, I just want to relax and I don't want to do nothing else. I'm gonna chill out and then I'm gonna go to sleep and then I'm gonna get up and go to work again. But their neighbor who lives right next door to them is the same person saying, I'm not satisfied with where I am. So I'm gonna go to work during the day. I'm gonna work a second job in the afternoon. I'm going to go to school in the evening time or online. I'm going to sleep in between jobs and I'm going to get up and do it again tomorrow. Why? Because I believe something, because I'm working towards something. And what works for everybody else is not going to work for me. They have the same 24 hours. They have the same 2 arms and 2 feet. They don't have a car. They don't always have a babysitter, but they figure out how to get Miss Ella May or Miss Johnson down the street to watch the baby. And they figure out how to take care of this and take care of that. They figure out how to do it. Why are they figuring out how to do it? The bottom line is people do what they want to do. The question is, why do people do it? The Bible tells us that the people are, before you come into the light, you are technically dead. You're asleep. They are sleep walking. They are sleep talking. They are working in their sleep. They're doing it in their sleep, almost like Night of the Living Dead, almost like zombies. Only lower level functions are working. They're driven by appetite instead of driven by thoughts. And such were some of you. If you would be honest, there were points in your life where you were just driven by appetite, driven by desire. If you look at it, the first sin was a sin based on appetite and desire. The devil works on appetite, the devil works on desire, but God says you're transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be very careful anytime that you are driven by appetite, driven by desire. When you're driven by appetite and you're driven by desire, then you are open for the enemy to offer you anything. I remember when Bruce was younger in our earlier days, he was hungry. He was hungry for more, hungry for more, hungry for more. And we only went to church 2 days a week. And I mean, we always had question and answer sessions. But Bruce wanted more, wanted more, wanted more. And I looked up one day and realized Bruce done slipped over into a whole nother religion. Why? Because he had an appetite for the spirit realm. He had an appetite and a desire. And in the absence of good leadership, any leadership will do. In the absence of good food, any food will do. In the absence of good water, any water will do. And when you are driven by appetite and you are just hungry and thirsty after any old thing, the enemy, the devil, the enemy of your soul will offer you any old thing. If you look at the prodigal son, the Bible says that he lost all he had, which means he was depleted, and then he joined himself to a citizen of a far off country. When he joined himself to a citizen of a far off country, then he began to be in want. He was looking for the family that he did not have. As long as he had his family, he didn't want anything. When he left, he had the family's money, and when the money was gone, there was a hole in his heart. There was a gap in his heart. And for some people, the reason they spend money, an exorbitant amount of money on clothes, is because there's a hole in their heart. The reason they spend an exorbitant amount of time and energy on drugs and or alcohol is because there's something they're trying to compensate for. One of the reasons that people extend themselves and love and commit to friends who will not commit to them is because there's a hole in their heart. One of the reasons that people endure relationships that are not mutually beneficial is because there's a hole in their heart. There's a gap that they're trying to fill, and because nothing is there, anybody will do. The Bible says that the prodigal son lost all he had, and would fain have filled his belly with the slop from the pigs, the old corn husks, the junk, the scraps that pigs ate. He was so empty on the inside that he was about to fill the gap with slop. Nobody blames you for trying to fill the gap. Everybody has a gap that needs to be filled, but this guy was going to fill the gap in his belly with pig slop. And the Bible says that when he came to himself, which means he must have been out of his mind. He was out of himself. It was an out of body experience. What I'm saying to you is that you previously were out of your mind. You were out of your body. You were out of your right mind. You were out of the image that God had for you. When he came to himself, then he spoke to himself. He gathered up his personal power, took his personal power back, took his energy back, and said to himself, I will arise and go to my father's house. If I'm going to fill this gap, I'm going to fill this gap with my father's stuff. This is what happened when you have a question. When you have a question, that means there's a gap. When you have a need, there's a gap. When you have time, there's a gap. And what you fill that gap with is totally up to you. Turn to 2 Kings chapter 7. Chapter, Lord, I'm running out of time. Chapter 2 Kings chapter 4. When you have a gap, there's nothing wrong with having a gap. When you have a gap, there's nothing wrong with needing that gap filled. When you have a gap, there's nothing wrong with having the energy, having the space to do it. What you put in that space is up to you. There are a lot of people that live in poverty, and they self-medicate with drugs. They self-medicate with alcohol. They throw parties in order to salve, S-A-L-V, to salve their problem instead of solving their problem. And many people do lots of things in order to make themselves feel better because they rather feel better than be better. How many times, how many situations have you done what felt good for the moment, even though it didn't make you good? And then we need God to deliver us out of what we walked into. We want God to give us a miracle out of what we constructed, what we invested in, what we put our energy in. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. When I was in high school, people were paying me to do their homework. Time changes, the game don't change. People still pay me to do their homework. But look at this. The people that were having a whole bunch of fun in high school and not doing their work are suffering today because they don't know how to get real work done. And here I am able to do one thing with my mind. I delayed my having fun, even though I had a great time. I wasn't as popular as them. I didn't have as much fun as them because I was doing my work and their work. But here I am. I'm able to do one thing. I built the software. I built the software. It cost me about $30,000. Took me about 18 months. I got so tired of the developers. Man, they got on my nerves. I built the software. The software made me money. All right. But what the software did, it put me into the world of technology, seeing how I can get my brain into a computer so the computer can do what my brain can do. Eventually, AI came out, or not AI came out, ChatGPT came out, and then we started to implement the ChatGPT with my software, and then we started to use different AI softwares to do things. And today, I'm able to build agents that can do what I do faster and better. And this one thought that I had, one thought that I had has brought me thousands of dollars, and I don't have to construct it each time. I did it one time, and because my brain did it one time, I'm able to sell it over and over again. You'll see that people from the 10K Club, I told them to create a $27 product because they can take a $27 product, create it one time, and sell it over and over and over again. Jessica has a product. She can sell it over and over. She did it one time, can sell it over and over again. If your brain can do something one time, you can monetize that thing over and over and over again. But there's somebody out there that won't even take the time to make their brain produce something. They won't take the time to get their brain to construct something. They won't take the time, but then they complain about not having. So there are individuals that will pay me so that they don't have to think. They will pay me so that they don't have to think about it. And that's fine. You know what I do when I hire people? I pay them so that I don't have to think about it. What do you do with your energy? The prodigal son, he was spent. He felt like he had no energy. He was about to eat the pig slop. But when he got the revelation, he said, I will arise and go to my father's house. You know what he received all of a sudden? The energy. When I watch Naked and Afraid, these people are struggling the whole 21 days. I mean, they struggling. They losing 21 pounds. You get what I'm saying? They ain't got no water. They can't stand up. They falling out. They got aches and pains. But at the end of the race, I don't know if any of you have seen 20 at the end of the experience, and sometimes they got to swim through waters and kayak and paddle and raffle boats and all kind of paddle boats and all kind of rafts and stuff like that. They're malnourished. Sometimes they're injured. They have infections. The bugs been eating them up. They just can't take it. They're weak and they're worn out. But then on day 21, when it's extraction day, and they see the car coming down the road, or they see the rescue boat, all of a sudden the people who couldn't walk, they walking fast. All of a sudden, the people who couldn't, who had no energy, they get a burst of energy. Why? Because they see what they want. And when you see what you want, you all of a sudden have energy. This guy, the prodigal son, when he got the revelation that he could have what he wanted, he got enough energy to get up and go home. He figured out how to get enough money to get up and go home. He pulled his mindset, his emotions together enough to get up and go home. This tells you that at any time during this story, he could have, if he had felt like it, what? He could have got up and went home. He didn't have to lose all he had. He didn't have to attach himself to a citizen of a far country. He didn't have to go down to the pig swallow. He didn't have to suffer all that time. He could have got up and went home. Listen, y'all, no matter what it is that you have suffered, no matter what you have invested your energy in, you have the ability to get up and go do what God said do. Rebecca had the energy to feed all the camels. Let's look at 2 Kings chapter 4. What does it say?
Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord. And
My husband was your servant. He was the assistant pastor in your church. Read on.
And the creditor is come to take unto him.
And we got bills. We got bills, which means that when my husband was alive, he created bills, and he left me with bills. We got bills. All right, read.
Him, my two sons, to be bondmen. And Elisha,
the creditors have come, and they want my two sons to come and work off the debt. The creditors have given me a debt payoff plan, and that debt payoff plan means that my sons go and work for them for a couple of years and pay off the debt. Read on.
And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me.
What do you want me to do for you? And then what?
What hast thou in thy house?
What do you have in your house? What do you want me to do? And what do you have in your house? You'll see that these two questions came simultaneously. They came perfunctory. They came together. What do you want? And what do you have? There are people that want something, but they don't want to evaluate what they have. They want something, but they don't want to present nothing. You can't want something and not want to pay something. Everybody wants freedom, but what are you willing to pay for your freedom? Are you willing to leave the plantation? Are you willing to run? Are you willing to go through the Underground Railroad? Are you willing to risk it all? Or do you want to die right where you are? Harriet Tubman said, I could have saved more people alive if they knew that they were slaves. How many people have become a slave to their clothing, slave to their credit card, slave to what other people expect, slave to keeping up with the Joneses, slave to status, a slave to it. And you can't express yourself fully because your slave master have restricted you. He said, what do you want? And what do you have in your house? Read on.
And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Both cannot be true, but she said it. This meant that she was double-minded at that time. Her double-mindedness activated instability in her life. It activated a lack of clarity in her life. The reason that she could not handle the creditors is because her mind was scattered. And here is the prophet. Yes, he is anointed, but he is anointed to give her a revelation. He's anointed to give her an instruction. He's anointed. He didn't take on her problem. When people talk to me, I don't take on their problem. I give them the instruction of the Lord, and if they put their energy into what God said, then they are blessed. When they don't put their energy into what God said, then things get worse. You are going to have what you reap. You're going to reap what you sow. Read on.
Then he said, Go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few.
In order for her to borrow, she has to overcome her feeling of debt. She has to overcome her feeling of demise. She has to overcome her feeling of destruction. In order for her to go borrow, she has to put herself together, put her makeup on, fix her hair. She can't look like she's suffering. She can't look like she's going through. In order for her to borrow, she got to put her big girl panties on. She got to put on a blazer. She got to go door to door and go borrow. In order for her to borrow, she has to pull up enough strength to say, I can do this. In the beginning, she felt like she had no hope, but now the man of God gave her some instructions, and now she has the ability to hope in something. She could have rejected what he said, but she did what he said. She did what she could do. She put her energy into going door to door. She put her energy into borrowing vessels. She didn't know how it was going to turn out, but she did what the man of God said to do. Hallelujah. And the Bible, read on.
And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more.
Yeah, she gathered all the vessels, her and her sons that were going to, her sons were going to be pawned out, hired out as indentured servants to work for creditors. She took her ability, she took her connections, she took her relationships, she took her sons and invested their energy into doing what God said do. She was going to use it to pay bills. But instead of using it to pay down debt, she used it to generate wealth. I want you to know that the thing that you were going to do to pay down debt, flip it on its head and generate wealth. You have never been anointed to pay down debt. That is not what God has anointed you to do. In Deuteronomy 8:18, he says, thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it's he that giveth thee power to get wealth. God has given you power to get wealth. Wealth is not money. Wealth is thoughts, ideas, and concepts that turn into money. Money is the lowest form of wealth. A lowest form of revenue. Wealth includes land. Wealth includes intellectual property. Turn to 1 Kings chapter 17. Wealth includes intellectual property. Wealth includes relationships. Wealth includes connections. When God unlocks your brain. He unlocks your ability to get wealth, your ability to manage relationships, your ability to see value in the right place. It used to be that you only saw value in deep fried foolishness, but now you actually see value in grilled squash. Now you see value in beets. Now you see value in salad, whereas you only used to see value in candy bars. What God wants you to understand is that your deliverance is not only your ability to come out from bondage that felt like it locked you in, it is also the ability to come out of the bondage that felt good, the bondage that felt like you were free, but you were really bound. This is Babylonian captivity. Babylonian captivity blesses you. Well, I shouldn't say blesses you. Babylonian captivity gives you good food, gives you food. Babylonian captivity gives you all the desserts and candy you want. Babylonian captivity tells people to dote on you and to compliment you. Babylonian captivity gives you nice clothes and fine threads. But Babylonian captivity convinces you through good things to stay. But if you ever try to leave Babylon, Babylonian captivity says, no, you can't leave. Look at all you have here. Look at all we've done for you. You can't leave. Babylonian captivity is real good to you until you decide to leave. But Babylonian captivity is still captivity. And it was Daniel that said, how long, Lord, are we going to live in this captivity? I have a good job, but we're still in captivity. They honor our intelligence, but we're still in captivity. They have fed us the best of the fruits and the vegetables, but we're still in captivity. They have celebrated our progress, but we're still in captivity. Many of you have done everything you've been big and bad enough to do, but you were still in captivity. Your ability to do all of those things, you were in captivity. You were going to the clubs. You were spending your substance. You were getting with this one and that one because you could do it, because you were grown and it felt like freedom, but it was really captivity, captive to the image that Nebuchadnezzar built, captive to social expectations, captive to the trauma that you're still running from as an adult because it happened to you when you were a kid, captive to what people expect, captive to what people want from you, captive to people pleasing, captive to jobs, captive to careers, captive to what other people expected of you. And you were fine until you decided to do something different. When you decide to get up and go to your father's house, when you decide to invest in kingdom initiatives, when you decide to go all in for Jesus, then people have something to say. And now you are contending with, are you free to live your own life and make your own decisions, or have you really been bound? The Bible said that this woman, she pulled herself together and did what the man of God said, and she went and borrowed vessels till she couldn't borrow anymore. Then she closed the door and she started to pour, and when she poured out, she poured in, and she kept on pouring. She had enough oil to keep on pouring. She had enough wisdom to keep on pouring. She had enough investment to keep on pouring. She had enough strength to keep on pouring. I'm telling you that you have enough to keep pouring if you just start pouring into the right thing. She was, in the beginning, she was looking at limitation. But now she was looking at possibility. In the beginning, she was looking at boundaries. Now she's looking at endless opportunities. In the beginning, she was looking at what she could not do. Now she's looking at what she can do. When your brain opens and you start to see the possibility will outlive the problem any day. The opportunity will outlive the opposition any day. There are a limited number of problems that can exist. There are an unlimited number of solutions. Why? Because there are many ways to feed the cat. And anybody that has counted you out, they don't know how to count. The reason they don't know how to count, because they thought that you were by yourself. But the Bible says, if God be for you, he's more than the world against you. Who can be against? Who can to hold anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifies. You have the ability. You have the energy. Come here, Rebecca. I know it takes a lot to get water for these camels, but you can do do it. Come here, Peter. I know you've never walked on water before, but you can do it. Come here, Daniel. I know you've never, come here, Hebrew boys. I know you've never danced in fire before, but you can do it. Come here, Daniel. I know you've never slept on a lion before and made him your pillow, but you can do it. Come here, David. I know you've never slayed a giant before, but you can do it. Solomon, come here. I know you've never built, hallelujah, a temple before, but you can do it. Come here, children of Israel. You've never torn down a wall before, but you're getting ready to shout and tear down Jericho's wall. I'm telling you that the same energy that you use to do other things, the same energy, people of God, that you use to build Egypt, you used your energy to build the pyramids, you used your energy to build a civilization that kept you in captive. Come here. You use your energy to invest in your own bondage. But when the children of Israel leaves Egypt, they are not just taking their bodies out of Egypt, they are removing their investment out of Egypt. They are taking their intellectual property out of Egypt. They are taking their ideas and their concepts and their strength out of Egypt. Egypt did not crumble because it lost money. It crumbled because it lost the people of God. The reason that the thing is still alive is because you're there. It means that you have the ability to make anything live. The reason that that thing is still kicking and moving and breathing is because it's living off of your life-giving breath. But when you remove it, Egypt did not crumble because it lost money. It crumbled because it lost the people of God. And when the people of God removed themselves from Egypt, they removed their brains, they removed their intellect, they removed their emotion, they removed their solace, they removed their peace, they removed all of the blessing that followed them. It followed them out of Israel, and it followed them into Egypt, and it built Egypt as one of the most powerful civilizations that ever lived. And when they left, the legs were stolen from under Egypt because the blessing that followed them into Egypt just followed them out of Egypt. And the blessing that caused Egypt to flourish, it caused them to be sustained even in the wilderness. What I want you to understand is that the energy that you invested in the foolishness of your past is what empowered your past. It empowered your bondage. It empowered the bad decision. But when you make a decision to operate in the freedom of God, when you make a decision to open your minds and see what God has for you, when you make a decision to do what God said do, that same energy will change your life. What did I say? 1 Kings chapter 7. Let's hurry up.
Did you say 7 or 17?
Oh, Lord. 17.
Yes, sir. All right. Verse 1. And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead.
Skip to verse 11 and verse 12.
Yes, sir. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand.
Go to 10. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay. So he arose and went to Zarephath, I'm sorry. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there gathering of sticks.
This woman is a widow. She ain't got no man. Because she ain't got no man, she ain't got no money. And women were not allowed to work, so she was not working. She was gathering sticks because she was poor. There's a famine in the land. There's no water. Because there's no water, there's no crops. Because there's no crops, there's no cattle. There's a famine. Everything is sparse. There's no food. No food. I don't have any food in my house. There's no food anywhere. And he saw this woman gathering sticks. Read on.
And he called to her and said, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel that I may drink.
Fetch me, I pray thee, some water. Mm-hmm. There's a famine. How's she gonna get water? But here's the sign. Read on.
And as she was going to fetch it.
As she was going to fetch it. How's she fetching water? That means that she knew how to make it through the famine. And sometimes you don't even give yourself credit for what you know how to do, what you have done. You were able to make it through the famine. Thank God you made it through the famine. And even if all you have is 1 liter of water left, you got stuff that other people don't have. Give yourself some credit. Everybody endured the famine, yeah, but they didn't endure it like you. You figured out how to make it, and you still got hair on your chinny chin chin. Read on.
He called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thine hand.
Bring me a morsel of bread. You were getting some water? Oh, you got water? Now bring me a morsel of bread. What happened? What did she say?
And she said, As the Lord thy God liveth, I have
That's
not.
that's 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 the equivalent. I swear to God, I
I
have
swear
I
to
have an
God.
aunt. Some of you know my aunt Lucille. My aunt Lucille is just so funny. She is so funny. And she's kind of hoarse, and so she's real animated. If I could show you, if I could stand up and show you, but I can't. When she talks, she stomp. She that's how she do. She said, "Boy, I swear to God, I swear for God." That's what this woman did. She like, man of God, I swear for God, I swear to God, I ain't got no bread. That's the equivalent of what she did. She said, I don't have, once again, facing her limitations.
Mhm.
And then what?
I have not a cake, but a handful.
I ain't got no cake, but I have a handful of meal and a cruise of oil. I don't
Yeah.
have any cake. I don't have this, but I have this. Use what you have. Read on.
And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, so that we may eat it and die.
Y'all listen. I know we're not in the Bible days, but what if it was your last little bit of food and the man of God said, make it for me first? Don't feed your children. Feed me first. Can y'all imagine what the internet would do to him? What would happen? I mean, we love the God of the Bible, but look at the stuff that the men of God would say do. Look at what it took to experience miracle. He said, make me a cake first. What would happen? Y'all can respond. What would the internet say? What would they do if they heard that the preacher said, you ain't got no food, you ain't got no money, give me what you have. Don't feed your kids, don't pay your bills. This is the last thing you have. There is a famine. Make it for me first. Can y'all imagine how she's being stretched, how she's being challenged?
Apostle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me about what you was just talking about earlier, though, when you asked the question like about why people don't go and give their extra for God and they do it everywhere else. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in that text, it says when God told him to go, God told him that he had already spoken to the woman. So the woman knew he was gonna show up. So now you face now too with the well now you're gonna have to do this. What you are you willing to give that extra? And like she said, her perspective is that I still don't know if I can do it. You know,
Yeah.
I still don't know if I can do it.
Right.
Yeah. So
And anytime every miracle exists on the other side of obedience. Every miracle requires obedience. If there's no obedience, there's no miracle. There is no miracle, not one in the Bible, that existed without an obedient act. And when God speaks to you, he wants to know, will you obey me? Obedience says that you trust him. Obedience says you believe him. Obedience says you value him more than you value whatever else exists. Obedience. So here he is being stretched. The woman is also being stretched. And what happened? She said, I'm going to make this for me and my son, and we're going to die. He says, make me a cake first. And what happened?
And Elisha said unto her, Fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and thy son. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, the barrel
You're
of
going to have
meal.
some for now, and you're going to have some for later. I prophesy to every one of you, you're going to have some for now, and you're going to have some for later. The enemy has tried to convince you that if you do this, you'll lose yourself. If you do this, you won't have anything. If you do this, then people are going to take advantage of you. If you do this, then such and such is the case. But that is not the truth. You will have some for now, and you will have some for later. One of my favorite candies is Now and Later, the green ones. Um, they used to cost 15 cents at the corner store. You're going to have some for now, and you're going to have some for later. I never knew why they were called now and laters until I thought about how long it would take to eat them. it would take a long time. You would want to crunch into it, but when you crunch into it, maybe our corner store now laters were stale, but after you crunch into it, then it gets soft, and it's soft, but it's not soft where it breaks down fast. Like you have to, it melts down for a while. You get what I'm saying? Now and later. You're going to have some for now, and you're going to have some for later. This next blessing that's about to hit your life, I felt that one in the middle of my back. This next blessing that's about to hit your life is a blessing for now and later. Everybody's not going to accept it. Everybody's not going to claim what's being transferred right now. Are you one of the ones that's going to miss this opportunity? Or are you one of the ones that's going to claim what God just dropped in your spirit? This next blessing is a blessing for now and a blessing for later. It's going to bless you now, but it's also going to bless you later. It's going to bless you now, but this blessing is going to stick around a little bit. This blessing is going to last a little bit. This is not going to be a temporary blessing. This is not a microwave blessing. This is a slow cooked blessing. This blessing is a now and later blessing. The woman said, me and my son gonna eat this and die. He said, make it for me first and then make it for you and your son. Read on.
And she went and did according to the saying of Elijah. And she and he and her house did eat many days.
They ate many days. Him and her house. The next thing you know, the famine is over and they're all right. I'm finished. When you think about the energy that it takes, God requires energy that you don't know you have. My job as a leader is to challenge you, to tell you, make it for me first. I appreciate what everybody does. If anybody has ever given me a nickel, I appreciate it. But you don't give to me because I need it. You give to me because you need it. And we'll talk about that in Philippians chapter 4. You give because if I give you spiritual food, you give me natural food. You don't give because I need it. You give so that God will recognize it in your account. And then the scripture says, my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory. What you need is for God to bless you. And every blessing requires your energy. My job is to challenge you to give your energy to God, to challenge you to give your energy. He's not always going to require all, but he is going to require you to sacrifice. How much time have you made available to him? If he says do a certain thing, are you willing to adjust your schedule? The brothers meet every Sunday night at 7:00. It's not always convenient, but they make themselves be there. Why? Because God requires energy. And when we witness to these new brothers that are coming in, what we're saying is, bro, you are important enough for me to spend time and energy. When people are praying, and there are a few different prayers that are happening, thank God that you all are people of prayer. Those prayers are for people that are not even here, not even thinking, while other people are playing around. Somebody is praying. God requires your energy. Everybody wants the miracle, but how many people are willing to put out the energy? All right, we'll hear from 2 or 3 of you, and then we're going to go.
Apostle, when you said that this next blessing is for now and later, I felt that thing in my gut. The way I just screamed out, "My Jesus, I received that." But nevertheless, nevertheless that, but it never fails when I have done something and I get on Bible study and you begin to preach about it or teach about it. So I literally had 2 things in Amazon. I had just paid for them. And then you come and talk, and I'm just saying, okay, God, I hear you. So I went and canceled those 2 things out of Amazon. Because why? Because I believe my Father. I believe you when you speak and when you are speaking, that is life-changing words. You may cut up in whatever, but your words is so
Oh,
powerful.
absolutely. Absolutely. I believe when Jesus walked with his disciples, he had conversation. The conversation was interactive, conversation was engaging. but the conversation became parables. They were lessons for life. So yeah, we cut up. I am who I am, but we don't ever want to miss the revelation.
I grabbed it, so I canceled that order.
Amen, amen. All right. Anything else? Who else?
Hi, Apostle. This is Crystal.
Hey.
So you were talking about the death. So I was talking to Julian earlier today, and I was telling him, I was like, the fact of being an entrepreneur and the death of consciousness, like the way you used to think, and readjusting that, it's not easy.
Mhm.
And I was telling him, I was like, I don't want to do it, but the death of it is so, it's so like important, and I know I need to do it. And so this next phase that you were just talking about, like this next, it's gonna bless you now, and it's gonna bless you in the latter days that's getting ready to come. It's like I received that, and God is telling me that's why you need to sacrifice, that's why you need to kill, that's why you need to die. And so the dying of the consciousness, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, it's amazing. As blessed you are, you forever not wanting to do something. But look at God.
Very true.
Look at God. And that's a testament of, even when your flesh don't want to, your spirit is willing. The reality is, it's not comfortable to eat good all the time.
Very true.
But the outcome is much better. It don't feel good to save money all the time. But it's a blessing when you look at your account and you see zeros that you don't have to pay out.
Yes, sir.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's a blessing. All right. Who else? All right. God bless you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
This is Robinette, and I've been going through like some of my journal entries from the first time I went to Morocco in 2004. And I know this is being streamed, so everybody mind your business on how old I was. I was practically an infant. But what I said in this piece just resonated with me, and it said, it's like I can feel that I belong in Africa. I just don't know where. I've come to learn that I don't need air conditioning or a car or tons of clothes and shoes. Those things are not the desires of my heart. I need a sense of self and a higher level of understanding. And fast forward to this time now, I still don't need those things, but I do now have a sense of belonging, and I have a sense of self, and I have a deeper understanding. And so God has granted me, quite literally, the desires of the heart of a child from, 20 years ago. Fast forward to now, I have those desires of my heart. So I just wanted to say, those things are minor. The things that we thought we wanted, they are so obsolete and unnecessary. But these things that matter are things that feel intangible. That's why God feels so intangible, but God matters so much more, because fast forward down the road, the desires of your heart will gobsmack you and overtake you if you just remember that those were the things that you sought after in the first place.
Amen. God has a way of turning it around. He really, really does. Rashida, happy belated birthday. Your birthday was yesterday, I assume, because you and Jamila are twins. y'all have to share a day.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, girls.
When you look at, birthdays, often a time of reflection. And there are people, as they get older, they don't even celebrate their birthday. But each year of life causes you to look back and realize how indeed blessed we really are, how our minds have grown, how our minds have changed. We look and back and realize those years that we were that we were walking dead, that we were walking in our sleep. Yeah, we were alive, but we were asleep. And then we look at today and we realize, I have learned so much. I have come so far. I am so much farther along than what I thought. One of the realities is, you look back in those years, and what felt like a limitation, you actually overcame them. What looked and felt hopeless, you actually endured it and overcame it. And God bless you out of that situation. And so, what we gather from that is this process called life is really about overcoming. It's about expansion. It's about what you did not know you could do, you actually can. The things that you don't think you can do, you can do it. All right. Anybody else? All right. On Sunday, we're going to be together in Richmond. We encourage you to send somebody, bring somebody, tell somebody. We're going to be gathering some videos where you'll be able to share your testimony about what Leviticus is to you. And you're going to share that video with the idea that some stranger is going to hear it. Somebody in the highways and hedges is going to hear it. And we want to compel them to come. All right. When y'all do these videos, you can tag me in it. We are intentionally reaching out to others. All right. And the other thing is on August the 31st, we're going to have our spades tournament. The spades tournament is going to be at the Drury Inn and Suites on West Broad Street. And there'll be more information coming from the brothers. All right. I think that's it for now. We're planning some other good stuff. All hearts and minds are clear. If you're giving, you give your tithe, that's 10%. What you bring in, offering is whatever God puts on your heart. And then you give a seed based on the revelation that you receive. Don't let the revelation come and you're not activated by faith. Amen. All right. Nobody is pressuring anybody to give. We just simply ask that everybody do something. Your amounts don't matter, but our obedience does. Could it be that your next miracle is on the other side of this act of obedience? All right. If that's all, hearts and minds are clear. I will see y'all on Sunday. God bless y'all. Y'all take care.